Quincy Jones song, one that Salena Zito and I can recall. Good morning, Salena. The late, great Quincy Jones passed away last night, so we are going to honor him by playing music he produced today. Salena Zito, you find yourself at ground zero, as you have for the last 20 years. You're in Pennsylvania. It's going to be down to PA. You were feet from President Trump when he was shot in the head. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, as I wrote over the weekend, I'd rather be him than her going into tomorrow. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but I think that he has the momentum in my home state, and I think he has the electorate that will put him over the top. Again, that doesn't mean that he's going to win. I just would rather be him than her going into Pennsylvania tomorrow night. Basically, the same way I felt in 2016 and not how I felt in 2020. 2020 was a very different year. Donald Trump does very, very well when it comes to having to fight against something and when that thing fights back. COVID, he could not fight against. And it was just a very, very, very odd year. If if tomorrow holds true in Pennsylvania and he does narrowly win the state, I think with the year that will be a fluke will be 2020 and not 2016, as a lot of experts have said.
Now, Selena, there are two stories that are looming. The Iranian supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, has threatened a massive reprisal against Israel. There are some reports that the same sort of activity is underway that preceded their first two ballistic missile attacks. We've sent B-52s. We've told him we can't restrain Israel if this happens. And then we got Peanut and Fred. And oddly enough, for most Americans, Peanut and Fred means a lot more than the threat of World War III because it's just not reported well. What do you think of both of those stories and whether or not they matter in the election to, people getting off the couch tomorrow and voting?
Well, the problem with for Harris is that the American public has viewed more than half of the country, including their own voters, has viewed their strength as not strength but weak in the Middle East. And that began with Afghanistan, but it's also been people, that sentiment has continued throughout what we have seen since October 7th, 2023. And and as far as Peanut and Fred, the left is laughing at this. However, the government went into someone's home, took their pet, and killed them. And that is everyone's worst nightmare. Without authority, without I don't know all the details of it, but it is the worst imaginable thing that Americans think about when they think about their government. And so that penetrates in the psyche. I mean, there's plenty of, I live out in, the middle of somewhere. There are plenty of people that have a squirrel or a deer that they feed every day. I watch them. I see the peanut droppings all over my backyard from my neighbors. It's not something that they would take very kindly to
It's if people are missing this, they're missing the fact that they destroyed the lives of the
Mhm.
Longos. They built their
Yeah.
lives on it's an accidental life. It wasn't a life they intended. But 12, I was watching the Ruthless Variety program on Friday, and I listened to the full program again on Saturday because I just had steam coming out of my ears because I've dealt with the government for so long. 12 people with a search warrant. They could have called, right? They could have called. We've
Yeah.
had a couple of complaints about your raccoon, and people don't like raccoons. And what about this squirrel? They could have said, "Can we come over and sit down and see how it goes?" It's just so
Yeah.
crazy to me. Yeah,
It is
go ahead.
absolutely crazy. They bullied, not only did they bully them, they took them and killed them. What? How does that even happen? And it doesn't even matter. Some people are, saying, well, these aren't Republicans that this happened to. That's not why people are upset. They're upset because this happened to Americans in the United States.
Yeah, I want to focus on that. It's people want to be left alone by the government
Yeah.
unless they want the government to deal with drug dealers. They want the government to deal with terrorists. They want the government to deal with crazy people. They want the government to help the homeless. They want the government to do things. This is 12 people. And thus far, there's not been one name. I want to carry you through the break if I can. Have you seen
Yeah.
one name of the Department of Environmental Concern or whatever they call it in New York and the county, one person be named or go on the record?
I haven't. I could have missed it, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anyone put out a statement. Have they?
No, they made a couple of statements. They said the animals had to be euthanized. I don't know why the raccoon had to be euthanized. They said Peanut bit someone. I don't believe it. And until they show me the bite mark, I'm not going to. I think they decided, oh, we've made a mistake here. Let's bag the evidence and dump it. But I'm going to talk with Salena during the break about Bucks County and Lucerne. We'll post that on my YouTube channel, Hugh at YouTube channel. Don't miss that either, because a lot of concerns about voting in Pennsylvania that we'll talk about. Salena will know the details when we come back. I'm back now with Salena Zito. She of Zito Salena on X and salenazito.com. Salena, I know the facts of the Bucks County case, somewhat controversial for me to know them because I listened to the Ruthless Variety program and I heard Chairman Watley explain that Bucks County had gotten it wrong. Not sure it was malignant, but they'd gotten it wrong, sent people home. They got sued by the RNC successfully. And in a series of events that led to my quitting the Washington Post. Doesn't matter. But I knew Bucks County. I don't know about Lucerne County. What is the problem there?
Well, as I understand it, is that there were a lot of registrations that weren't processed or were processed late. I don't understand the full problem there. What I do know is that in 2020, the Trump campaign was putting out fires after they had started a long time earlier. They didn't have legal watching over everything. This time they've got legal in every county, and they're on top of everything. So and I know that so far that the counties have been responsive, albeit dragging their feet because they're not used to people calling them on things. So I suspect that the Luzerne problem will be taken care of. Possibly part of the problem in Luzerne is I don't know if you saw the report about the uh, pack out of Arizona that
Oh,
was
yes, I did. Lots of suspicious registrations,
right,
many of
and that
which
may be
have
what the
caused
problem
eyebrows to
is.
arch. Okay.
Right, that
So
may
that
be what the
that's it.
problem is.
Everyone's reporting on the polls instead on voting, and I just don't understand that. Now I want to ask you about the registration, the early voting in PA. First of all, my condolences to the Penn State fans. Not really. It was a wild game, and the Buckeyes were a better team, but they tried to make it into a Penn State victory. Poor James Franklin. I like him. He's a fine football coach, but the way that Michigan's gotten into Ryan Day's head, Ryan Day's gotten into James Franklin's head. Are lots of
Yeah.
downcast people walking around you in Pennsylvania this morning?
Well, I'm in Pittsburgh, and we're a lot of us are Pitt people. Not to say there's not a lot of Penn State people around, but that's what you see more of a downtrodden people out in the center of the state.
Okay, well, talk to me a little bit about Pittsburgh. You know, this election depends on the Yinzers. It's hard for me to believe it, but it does. How do the Yinzer? What's it feel like in Yinzerland? And tell people where Yinzerland is. It's not just Pittsburgh.
Right. It's about 13 counties that surround Pittsburgh. The majority of them are red. You were talking about Beaver County, Butler County, Washington, Cambria, Westmoreland. These are counties that were traditionally Democrat counties that have moved over to the Republican Party as the Democratic Party became more elitist and more far left, and the Republican Party is more welcoming to the middle class. There are voters within these 13 counties that will likely decide this election. It stretch all the way from Erie, which is right next to Ashtabula, all the way down to Fayette County, which is right next to Wheeling and Washington County. And you know, those are counties that are supporting Trump. Within Pittsburgh, you have um, you have Allegheny County, which is blue. However, it's a little pink on the outer edges. Trump needs to bring those voters home, suburban voters, and bring them back home to the Republican Party to offset what happens in the city of Pittsburgh. Again, it does not mean that he will win Allegheny County, but in Pennsylvania, it is all about the margins. The margins for him in 2016 were 40,000. The margins for Biden in 2020 were 80,000. And it's all up to the middle class and suburban voters. Just not just in Allegheny County, but people have moved out of Allegheny County because it has higher taxes in Westmoreland, in Beaver, in Washington County.
So I want to close with this. It used to be as Ohio goes, so goes the nation. That's no longer
Yeah,
true. Ohio's red. It is now as
yeah.
Erie County goes, so goes the nation, which is an incredible thing for me to say. I went to summer camp in Erie. You know Erie. You're doing a story from Erie twice a year. How is Erie going to go?
Hard to say. It's right down the middle. I'm he neither of them have to win. She has to win Erie. Trump does not have to win Erie. He does have to run up the numbers in places like Cambria County, where Johnstown is, and Wilkes-Barre Township, where Luzerne County is, and in Bucks County. So it is not as important for him. But if he's winning Erie, though, he's winning the state,
Now,
no
I've been
doubt.
told, my last question, I've been told by a senior elected Republican, we won't know how Pennsylvania voted for 2 weeks. Do you agree or
Oh
disagree with
well,
that?
I disagree. I think we'll probably. I mean, it's always Philadelphia that comes in late. Maybe they will surprise us this year. But a lot of these counties have really. The Allegheny County, we will know definitely. Not that it's going to go for Trump, but it might give us some clues as to what's going. The mail-in ballots will dump at 8 p.m. You will know what the mail-ins are. If she is under 120, she's got a problem. That means she's got a problem in the rest of the state.
Would you unpack that under 120,000 Democratic advantage
Mail
on
in.
mail-ins mean? Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. If she's at like 120, 130, she's probably got a problem in the state. She needs to be 150, 160, 170 in Allegheny County in
That's
mail-ins.
why we
In
talked to
mail-ins.
Salena Zito. She knows not just Pennsylvania, but the heart of the country better than anybody. Salena Zito, thank you, my friend.